Good evening, everyone. I am Thomas Walker. I am the founder and CEO of 254th Street Corporation. We like to do a lot of empowering events. This is a company that myself and my wife own. It's a real estate investment and management company. I am also a real estate professional under Katisha Walker Realty. We service New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Dominican Republic, Dubai, and the rest of the nation through our large referral network. All right. So today we have our guest speaker, Mr. Michael Robbins. Mr. Michael Robbins happens to be a public insurance adjuster and consultant. All right. And Mike's job today is to teach us about insurance, about what the insurance companies fail to teach us, fail to inform us about, things that we don't know about. I don't want to step too much on his toes because I want him to give it to you straight and raw. And with that, Mr. Michael Robbins, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much, Buke, for the eloquent introduction. I appreciate you. Uh, my name is Mike Robbins. I'm a licensed, bonded, insured public insurance adjuster. So if you're like 99% of the population who I have interacted with, you probably heard the word of adjuster, but never heard of a public insurance adjuster. So I'm going to pretend like you don't know in the event that you don't. So typically when a property owner, whether it's residential or commercial, has an insurance issue or an issue in their property, when I'm saying property, meaning their residential or commercial property, that raises to the level that they want to involve the insurance company has adjusters. They're called independent adjusters or desk adjusters. But those entities work for the insurance company with the insurance company's interest at heart. As many people have experienced, I'm just copying my blink card and my website online while I'm talking to you. As many people have experienced, the insurance company does not have a financial interest in paying property owners everything that they're owed. I, on the other hand, am a public adjuster. I'm a licensed, bonded, insured, and regulated under state authorities, insurance authorities, like any realtor, like any insurance agent, like any banker. Every state has its authority to legally work with property owners against the insurance company to maximize your claim value. It's a contingency. So I don't make money unless the property owner gets money. Statistically, when you have a public adjuster advocating for you in a claim situation, statistically, we get about 575% more than you would get if you did it on your own. Okay. Does it, so I like to pause and make sure I'm checking in, making sure folks have questions along the way. Book has some areas that he's going to guide the conversation, but I'm certainly open to navigating questions along the way, respectfully, Book, to your time and your platform.
So, Mike, my first question, and it's probably most people's question, what are the most common mistakes policyholders make in the first 72 hours after property damage that end up reducing or delaying their claim payout?
Well, first and foremost, not reading their policy. Let me start there. Most people have no idea what their policy, how it reads, and what it even covers. There's a going assumption that because you have been paying your premiums and because you've never filed a claim, that the insurance company is going to do the right thing and take care of you. That is just not how it works. This is a contract. This contract has responsibilities that the homeowner or property owner has, and there's responsibilities that the insurance company has. So in that first 72 hours, part of those responsibilities of the property owner is to inform the insurance company if or make them aware that there was an issue. Other areas are to separate damaged goods in that situation. You also want to document those items. So if you have water damage or smoke damage or um, damage that you've identified that you want to um, present, you want to document those by picture. We all have phones now. You want to take your phone and you want to document as much as you can so that you have it on record that on this date, on this, at this time, I have evidence that this event happened. But the bigger problem is that homeowners, in addition to not doing those things that I just mentioned, just don't understand the language of insurance. So everything, it's kind of weird and kind of almost kind of funny. Everything that you say can and will be used against you in a claim. Everything that you say, every word that you use can and will. So please, Mrs. Walker, you look like you have a comment or question.
Oh, it was both. Um, One I was gonna say if anyone had any questions that they didn't, just kind of housekeeping, had any questions and they were unable to mute or there's something that popped into their head, they can put it in the chat and I'll be more than happy to present their question as it comes up. But I'm sorry, I was asking, at what point would be best to bring you into the fold? Do we bring you into the fold? Like if God forbid, we have a situation today, because I've never heard of a public adjuster. So typically, we just trust what the insurance company says. So would your recommendation be to bring you into the fold at the same time we bring in the insurance company, or after they've given their assessment, what would be best, to have our best interest taken care of from start to finish?
So without my personal interest at heart, I'm going to say it this way because I don't want you to think this is a mic thing. You really want to speak to me before there's an issue, first and foremost. The first part of my process is to educate you on the policy that you have without there being an issue, right? So what I've found is of the people that invite me into their home to do a policy review and a property inspection, about 6 to 7 out of 10 of those people have active damage in their home that their policy is designed to cover. The problem is that we are miseducated. And I want to spend a couple of minutes in the area that I know is a big thing that nobody's going to say, but everybody's thinking. All right. Just because you put in a claim, you're not going to automatically have a policy increase. Just because you put in a claim, you're not going to get dropped. I'm going to say that twice. Just because you put in a claim does not mean your premium is going to go up. Just because you put in a claim does not mean you're going to have a policy going to get dropped. I know there's going to be a lot of people that say, but I put in a claim and they dropped me. So let's talk about it because I want to get this out the way because this is information for you. I, again, need you to have the right information. And by the way, if you can't see, my information is on the screen. My direct phone number is on there, 908-922-2919. I also put my Blink card and website on the chat. So you can see that. It's claimitassist.com. So all of my information, and you can contact me in any of those ways. It has all my information on it. So let's talk about getting dropped or premium increases and what that might look like. So let's talk about the difference between being canceled and non-renewed. Canceled versus non-renewed. They both feel like you've been dropped. Okay? Cancellation. You didn't pay your premium. They canceled you. Cancellation. You engaged in fraud. They dropped you. Make sense? Let's talk about non-renewal. Non-renewal is a bit more nuanced than cancellation. And there's some specific areas in our communities, and I'm talking about the melanated communities, that kind of resonate in my experiences in the market. So non-renewal, let's talk about, I know in Queens, I believe maybe a year or so ago, there were major floods. Am I correct? Like there was a major floods in parts of New York City. And I believe most of the people here, Buke, are from the New York area.
Yeah, New York, New York State, Pennsylvania as well.
Perfect. So Pennsylvania as well. There's been a lot of storms, particularly, and actually we're moving into storm season now. So this will be relevant. So what happened? So this past year, at least in New Jersey, central New Jersey, we had huge flash floods. Queens had huge floods. So what happens is that the insurance company is paying out lots of money, millions of dollars to property owners during these events. Well, some of these insurance companies, the Progressives or the State Farms or the Allstates or whoever, might look at these areas and say, this area here is no longer financially feasible for us to insure. It's not profitable anymore. And what they can do is they can go to the State Department of Insurance of that that state, and say that. And on the renewal date, they'll send out a letter to everyone who is a policyholder in that region. And on the renewal date, or about 60 days before the renewal date, they say, we are non-renewing your policy for our company. Now, that doesn't mean you can't get insurance. It just may mean that the risk appetite for that company in that area is not suitable anymore. And they've made provisions there. The problem is it's conflated. I put in a claim and people say, I got this letter now, my company dropped me. So that's a non-renewal scenario. That's one. Does that make sense? The second one is a little more common to our community. And I'm going to go into this, and this is a complete respectful situation, but I'm sure most of us have seen this. So let's take a policyholder who bought a home in 2020. Interest rates were good. They got a mortgage. They had to get insurance because they had to get a mortgage, right? They paid the insurance company, the insurance agent. By the way, I'm a licensed insurance agent too, so I know how they're sold and how they're bought. I mean, how they're paid. The insurance agent goes online. They go on Zillow. They go on Realtor. They go on Trulia. They see the measurements and the look of the property. They take the pictures that you guys took. They use those pictures and they make a coverage decision for that property. Now, the insurance company has never stepped foot in that property. So a lot of times the mortgage and the insurance payments are escrowed and the payments are made together, right? So now fast forward, we're in 2026 now. You bought the home in 2020. Well, I don't know about you, but I've walked in some homes and they're not in the best shape. When they bought the house, it was in good shape. Siding was good. There was no holes in the wall. The stairs were good. It was managed. But now, 5, 6 years later, the trees are overgrown, the steps might be falling off, there's shingles coming off the side of the home or whatever. Now, this same person has a pipe break in the bottom in their home, right? They have a pipe break in the bottom of the home. So now they're like, I need to call the insurance company because I have this issue and I think I need to call them. So they call the insurance company and the insurance company sends out their adjuster to take a look at it. Now, when that insurance agent or that insurance adjuster walks in the home, it's the first time the insurance company has seen the home in person. When they walk in that home, they see the overgrown trees. They see the stairs falling off. They see the railing coming off off the stairwell. And they, in addition to the pipe break that they were called about. Now they have a responsibility to call back in and say these hazards exist. Because the problem is that if something happens based on those other hazards that they saw, they're now going to be calling the insurance company about that. So what happens is the insurance company will get that information. They'll send a letter to the insured saying we've identified these hazards and you need to take care of them by such and such date. Otherwise, we will non-renew you. And what happens is that people's houses are not in the best shape. They get that letter, they don't deal with it. They might even get paid for the pipe break that they, put the claim in for, but then they will be non-renewed based on the other maintenance issues that have not been addressed. So again, the person is saying, I put in a claim and then they drop me. Well, there's a lot of nuance that goes with that they're not telling you. They're not telling you their house has not been maintained and they got this letter and they didn't deal with the issue that the insurance company required them to deal with. That's a very, very common situation that I see in our community. So maintenance is a very big issue for insurance companies as well as our community, right? So that's one of the big reasons that it's important to have me come in early. Because first things first is you're going to understand your responsibilities through your policy. Second, I'm going to see these things and it's not reported to the insurance company when I come see it, but I can advise you. I can say, listen, these things are going to be an issue if you don't take care of it. And this is how it would work if you had an issue and they came in. And if I see a house that is in bad shape and they do have an issue, I might advise them not to put in a claim, or I would let them know that there is a high probability based on the condition of the home that they're going to be non-renewed, even if it's unrelated to the issue that they're dealing with. Yes, ma'am.
Does the same hold true for renters policies?
For what policies?
Renters policies.
Renters policies, meaning the tenant has a policy.
Yeah.
So the tenant's policy is it's a renter's policy. So renter's policies primarily are dealing with the contents of the rental unit, their
So with
personal.
so with that, you don't come into play until, God forbid, they have damage to
Typically, I
their
don't
personal property.
typically I don't deal with rental issues or rental policies. It's just not a good use of my energy and time. But I will certainly have a conversation if someone has questions. And it's important if you are a landlord to make sure that you do have renters. Your renters do have their own insurance. Did that answer your question?
I'm going to ask, what language or documentation do insurance companies rely on that policyholders often misunderstand or unknowingly agree to during the claim process? Meaning, I know that sometimes you could put in a claim, but you say the wrong words and they'll deny the claim. But if you say it the right way, your claim will go right through.
Well, that's always there's ideals in what we think a claim process should look like, and then there's the reality. The insurance company has, first of all, the insurance policies have been evolving just like everything else, just like insurance premiums, just like mortgage products, just like everything evolves. So the policy that you signed up for 5, 10 years ago and the one that you have now can be very different. The way they're handling policies 5, 10, 15 years ago and how they're handling them now, very different. They are also making modification to the language of the policies to make it more beneficial and profitable for them. That being said, let's talk. I'm always going to stick with the most common situation in terms of language to answer your question, Buke. So let's talk about it. Heavy rain that comes in through your basement. Heavy rain that comes in through your basement is, you call the insurance company, you have water in your basement, oftentimes because it's common language. They call the insurance company, said, my basement is flooded. Makes sense, but in terms of your policy, it's not a flood. That's considered groundwater. And because you use that word, and I call the F word, in that description of the event, you have been denied properly. The floods are dictated and regulated by the National Flood Insurance Program and the parameters that go with that. Groundwater is another separate, unrelated issue to a flood. So if you use the word flood to describe groundwater or any other non-flood event, you have denied yourself. And if you read your most residential policies, particularly, right on the policy, it'll tell you this is not flood insurance. But again, most people don't read their policy or even understand it if they read it.
Okay, so does that hold true for if a pipe burst in your house as well? Just don't use the word.
Well, again, it's using the word that is articulated in the policy to describe the peril. And the policy itself is the starting place, right? So every policy is not the same. For most homeowners, for most property owners, most property owners are looking at how much does it cost? I want the cheapest policy, but I want it to cover everything. Well, unfortunately, that's not how life works. You kind of get what you pay for in life, right? But the problem is because most people don't understand the elements of the policy that they're using. It's like parsley on the plate. It's like I don't understand it and I don't want it because I don't understand it. That's why I go back to having me come and do a free property policy review and property inspection is going to inform you about the policy that you have and connect it to the property as you are using it and as you are understanding it, because there's things in the policies. The policies are templates. See, policies, homeowners policies and commercial policies are policy forms. There's a basic policy form, there's a broad policy form, there's a special policy form. And those policy forms, going up the line have different coverage elements to it. Okay, so based on what type of policy that you have is going to dictate what type of coverage that you have. So to say that even the language you use may not be relevant if the policy form that you have doesn't have coverage for those things. So there's a basic part of the policy, and then there's the endorsements. The endorsements are the customizations of the policy, some things that are like specific to the neighborhood that you live in or the type of residence you have. So let's use a condo or a co-op. So in the homeowner policy form, there are 8 types of forms, HO1 through HO8. So it's HO1, HO2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The most common that you see in a single family dwelling is what they call an HO3 special form. It's going to give you some coverage for the dwelling, the main unit. If there's a shed or a detached garage, you'll give you some coverage there. Personal property, your personal contents, your loss of use if your home burns up or it's unsafe to live in, medical use to others or medical payments to others, which if someone comes to the home and gets hurt, that will pay some money for going to the pharmacy or get some medication out of pocket. And then personal liability, if you have a dog and it bites somebody when you're away from the home or someone comes on the property and sues, it's lawsuit coverage. So that's the basics that's the most common form I see in the single family home perspective. And there are endorsements that you can add to that to strengthen the coverage of those types of policies. I don't know how New York is specifically, but a different type of policy is what they call an HO6 policy, which covers things like condos and co-ops and communities, right? And why do you have something like that? So an HO6 is going to give you coverage for the unit that you have, all the interior and the structure that you have, many of the other items that I just mentioned, but it also adds another thing called loss of use. I'm sorry, loss assessment. My apologies, loss assessment. So, what's loss assessment? Let's say there's a community room that everybody gathers in. If there's a pool, if there's a community laundromat or something in that area where everybody uses. Let's say that's a standalone building for the sake of the conversation, and it burns down. Well, if it's a community and everybody's paying an HOA or some kind of condo fee or some kind of community fee, the master policy will pay a portion of that community room being burned down. And then the other portion of it will be um, distributed equally to every other homeowner. And that's an assessment. In a HO6 policy, there's oftentimes a loss assessment amount in the event that you are assessed for community damage of that sort.
So I have a question. You mentioned that, if someone get injured in your home, that the policy will cover that. What happens if you get injured in your home? Does the policy cover you as well?
If you, the homeowner, the property owner gets injured,
Yes.
that's what your medical insurance is for.
Okay.
So we can't put in the claim for ourselves, period. We trip down the steps, we fall down the steps. I know they're gonna say it's our negligence, but we're not covered.
Well, again, you did it to yourself or it happened in your home. Well, there's different, again, I have all the insurances, right? All of that. So that's what medical insurance is for. You hurt yourself, kids hurt themselves, go to the doctor, pay your premium, give your card and you do that. That's not associated with the home. Unless you're like, unless you're like a renter in a property, get hurt on the landlord's property, then you could potentially sue the landlord, the property owner, in that liability space. But that's a different conversation.
I had a quick question without getting too far off target.
Mhm.
Because we did have a situation where the our basement did give outside water. I don't want to say flood water. I'm careful now.
You can say
We
it.
got
I'll
the water came under the basement door into the basement. So it
yeah.
was that water.
Mhm.
Um and we were told that because it was water that came from outside in and not an internal source, that it wasn't covered. So I don't know if I used the wrong word, and I don't know if it just wasn't in the policy, but we did have that situation. So I was just curious um, if there is a scenario where the outside water coming inside would be covered.
Absolutely. It's called groundwater, first of all. So that heavy water coming into the ground through in a basement, so beneath the ground level,
Mhm.
water coming through the ground. That's considered groundwater. So again, remember I talked about um, the endorsements. This is where endorsements become very important. So the endorsements, and I'm gonna get to you in a minute, Maurice. I see you up there. Endorsements are elements that customize the policy. So let's talk about a common endorsement that is available in many homeowners policies that people are not aware of that can help you with groundwater. So, are you familiar with what a sump pump is?
Yes.
A sump pump, for those who don't know, is a mechanical device that is in the basement that can be installed that when you get groundwater, and if the groundwater comes into that lower level, to push that out of the home so you don't accumulate problems in that area. So there is an endorsement in many policies called water backup sump pump endorsement. And it provides a certain dollar amount in the event that you have to have a sump pump installed. If that sump pump, the groundwater is so significant that it can't push it out fast enough, it triggers coverage. And or you have like a power outage, for example, the sump pump fails, water comes into the groundwater, that triggers coverage. The problem, so having it is the first thing. Having a sump pump one and having the endorsement is the second piece. In the templates of typical homeowners policies, oftentimes it's only about $5,000, which is oftentimes not enough to sufficiently deal with all of the damage that's involved with remediating groundwater. Because what happens is when water enters the ground, they have to come in, they have to push the water out, um, they have to cut into the drywall. If you have personal items down there and mechanicals, those need to be dealt with, heaters and boilers and all those things. And then also, if you have an older home built before 1978 and it has tiles, and they have to pull those tiles up in order to dry the downstairs, you oftentimes will have asbestos there, and that asbestos has to be handled separately, and that endorsement is designed to give you coverage there. So you want to look at, again, it's case by case. I'm looking at I have another question in there, but I want to go. Ms. Walker, if you could help me navigate some of the people so I can get to people in order, I appreciate that.
Yes.
Um,
Russ was up.
okay.
Maurice.
Maurice, yes. But I want to finish your answer first. So that's where me evaluating that policy and being in the home to see how you're utilizing the home and how the policy is structured will give me an opportunity to make sure that your coverage is proper and also you understand how to best be served in an event.
Thank you.
Who is next? I'm sorry, who is next?
Russell.
Hey, thanks, Michael. This is really good information.
I
Uh, I,
I remember
I'm a
meeting
real
you at
estate.
I met you at the the lunch
Triple
neighborhood.
play.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes,
How you doing,
yes.
sir? You have a very unique look, bro. You can't walk the streets and not people don't know you're there.
I'm assuming that's a good thing.
I'll let the ladies, chime in on that one, but you have a very distinct look, sir.
Thank you. Following up on Katisha's question, I'm based in New York City, and we've been having this issue a lot, like around the city with, and it's not, again, it's to your point, it's not flood necessarily, I guess, but what's happening is that the sewer lines or the drain lines in the street are backing up and flowing water back into the buildings. And by that same token, they're saying that it's not covered because it's not flood.
Right.
So even if there was a sump pump in there, like the water would have been just pumped, like literally the water is coming back through the pipes that should be draining into the street.
Yes.
So
It-
I'm just wondering, I guess, is there some coverage that
yes.
includes that? And then
Yes.
part two would be, is there coverage that includes like a water main break in the street
Yes.
where water comes into your house?
Yes. Yes. And yes. Yes. And yes. So again, every, like I say, every property is a little different. And so when I visit, one of the things that I'm doing is I'm looking at the neighborhood. So as I'm driving in, as I'm walking through, I see how the neighborhood is developing, a lot of construction, all these different things. So yes, there are endorsements typically, or in many policies, called sewer line endorsements, which you can get through the policy, or you can go through the utility company and get this endorsement so that if there's a sewer line issue, or it's called service line, and the city is drilling into the street and it hits your line, you get a bill. It gives you a piece of coverage because they can bill you oftentimes, if they make that mistake. So yes, there is ways to do it, but again, I it's a very fine line. And you have to see what's going on because policies are designed typically for accidental sudden events. So I have to kind of see, there's a story we have to craft based on the event and the evidence that we have to support the event, which is where the on-site evaluation comes in. I hope that answers your question, Maurice.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so Cynthia had a question, and it's pretty much on the lines of what Maurice was talking about as far as
Mhm.
this the sewage backing up. Yeah, could you read it for me, please, so we can get the echo.
Cynthia said, should the term groundwater be used for sewage coming in from the sewer as well?
No, it's a different event. So groundwater is like, think heavy rain. Heavy rain and don't use the word, but seeps into your basement through the foundation. That's groundwater, effectively. Sewer backup is sewage. You have a sewer line. You have from your toilet, the water lines and sewer lines that go from the top of your property, if you have multi levels, down to the bottom, out to the street. Those are water lines or sewer lines. Different plumbing. It's a plumbing issue.
So is there different wording we use for sewage as opposed, because we know we're not using flood, now we can't use groundwater for a sewage backup or whatever. What terminology would you use for that?
Again, I would defer to somebody like myself. I would call me because again, it's nuanced. Like when you see it, let's talk about the real life of it. I just got a call yesterday from somebody. I got to go to Brooklyn tomorrow for something that happened. Somebody had a pipe break and dealing with that. When you see it, it's like you're panicking. Most people are just panicking. Oh my God, this water, the house is a mess. It stinks. I need to do something. The thought of what it is and the science of it and how I should describe it is the last thing that you're really trying to deal with. Most people are ready to have somebody else who knows what they're talking about take care of it, and they want to get what they're supposed to get in the best way possible. Now, let me put a caveat on all of this as well. Claims are not a fast or necessarily simplistic process. The insurance company goes out of their way not to pay all, and they're not going to tell you that they're not going to pay you all of it, and they're going to take their time and get it to you, depending on the complexity of the situation. So, my role, more than getting you money, which is definitely something I'm always working to do, is to provide professional representation and to help manage expectations, not in that order. I want to manage expectations first. So by educating you, by walking, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you had a question. So my first role is to just make sure I'm managing expectations. I don't want you to think because you have a professional coming in here and we're going to go in there and save the day, and you said whatever you said and did whatever you did, then we're going to be able to fix it all. Sometimes we can, but sometimes it's outside of our ability to assist. But we're going to give you professional representation and professional advice. I want to make sure I make a note to you guys about some things. In most states, and I'm talking generally, if you have an event that you have at an event that you think might be relevant to a claim, you have 1 year in a residential situation to get all that you're supposed to get from that claim. So let's say you had a claim in what month are we in? January, let's say in November, had a pipe break. You put in a claim, they gave you something, might not have been everything you thought you should have. You have from November to November to get everything you can get. So oftentimes what happens is they'll, because people don't know how to navigate their policy, they'll get something which is usually less than their owed, and they'll just take that because it'll take sometimes 2 to 3 months for them to get any check, and they're just exhausted from the process. But the reality of it is that you have all the way to November to get everything that you're owed. Oftentimes people get frustrated, they call me, and I can pick up in an event like that, go back to the insurance company and argue for the remaining part of your money in a residential within that year. Most commercial situations, we have 2 years from the time of the event. I shared with Buke that I had a church in Camden, New Jersey, referred by one of my clients. I love churches, by the way. Churches and commercial buildings, love to work with them. They had an event. They tried to do it on their own, the trustees and everybody else. They got $35,000. It was a pipe break from the street line, completely destroyed the sanctuary. They got $35,000, didn't know what to do. Myself and my team came in, we evaluated it, went back to the insurance company, we got them $208,000 on that same claim. We only got paid on the portion above the 35,000 that they got.
Great. All this information is great. As Russell said, we're getting a lot of great information. I want to ask you, how do coverage gaps typically show up during a claim, and what parts of a standard policy should homeowners and renters review before the loss occurs to avoid the surprises? First of all, can you tell us what the gaps are, what coverage gaps are?
Well, coverage gaps are kind of like I was telling you when all the policy is doing is it's a type of coverage for the property. There are there's basic coverage, there's broad coverage, and there's special coverage. And based on the policy, it's going to give you opportunity to cover something. I can't, some policies will only cover fires, nothing else. No water damages, nothing else. Some policies, if there's water coming into the home through the roof or the siding, it has to be an opening a visible opening in the property before they will show coverage. Every policy is a little different. So the gaps, the first things first is read the policy, right? Most people do not read the policy, and if they do read it, they don't even understand it. The second thing that you want to do, well, I would say call me because I'm gonna help you, first of all, because we friends now. We all kumbaya. We NARAB, we all good. But the coverage gaps are similar to what I was talking about with the sump pump. Most people don't understand the difference between a flood and groundwater. So in that, they're not going to understand what the requirement is as far as the sump pump and how to best cover themselves in the event that's something they're dealing with. Most people don't understand what sewer lines are and how that factors into their coverage and where the limitations are. There are things that go with personal property. That's a major thing that I see. There's a lot of our young ladies have homes. The women have a lot more homes than men. As you know, women keep really nice stuff, a lot of them. They have furs and minks and jewelry and artwork and all kinds of beautiful things. Well, the policy provisions oftentimes only have coverage for about $2,500 to $5,000 per item in that policy, right? So if you have a piece of artwork or, some furs, whatever, antiques or photography equipment or, things that exceed $2,000, $5,000 individually, and they're damaged due to smoke or fire or water, if it has not been identified and appraised and put on the policy as what they call a scheduled item, you will be capped out at its value, right? And again, that's where the visuals come in, because when I walk in a home, you can kind of tell how people are living. You say, oh, I can, you look around, you're like, okay. And when I'm looking at the policy, it's one of the first things I'll pay attention to. If I see someone has really, really, what appears to be very, well, nice things, I'm like, okay, let me check the policy and make sure that they're aware that they need to consider this in terms of a coverage gap. I mentioned there's another area called ordinance of law. It's another big one. Ordinance of law. You guys might want to write this one down as well. Take some notes. Ordinance of law. Ordinance of law basically is, let's say you have a covered event, smoke, fire, what have you. And in the rebuild process, the city says, you need to have your electrical panels upgraded because they're out of code. You need to have your plumbing upgraded because they're out of code. And they notify you, they send you a letter. Well, ordinance of law, which is sometimes baked into the policy, sometimes as a separate endorsement, gives you about 10% typically of the part A to deal with a code and ordinance issue. So let's say, for argument, for the sake of this conversation, you have a $500,000 part A for the dwelling, the main structure. That ordinance of law will give you $50,000 towards a code ordinance upgrade issue. So older homes, specialized homes can be very valuable.
Thank you for that. This question I'm going to ask is for a specific group because there are quite a few landlords here. So for landlords, investors, and rental property owners, what differences exist in how claims are evaluated compared to owner-occupied homes, and where do disputes most often arise?
Well, the commercial world is a la carte, meaning the policies are much less liberal. They kind of piece those together more, and they can drop you for pretty much anything. Think about it. If you have a commercial property, I guess there's almost like an assumption that small things you're going to handle. You're going to take care of the small things within the scope of your management of your property. So you won't get as much movement or as many smaller claims to process when there's a commercial property. And the insurance company kind of looks at that in terms of looking at your insurability relative to your claims history, because there is a claims history. Oh, by the way, let me make this point before I forget. So if you have questions, let's just say you have a question and you call your insurance company, say, I have a question. What happens if my sink was, running, or my refrigerator was leaking? They are going to count that as a claim, whether you process it as a claim or not. It's assigned a claim number, and it is now a claim. Even if you haven't gotten paid, even if you said, I'm not trying to do a claim. So what happens for some people, if they keep calling the insurance company to ask questions, they're now racking up claims. And then by the time they have something that they actually want to use, the insurance company might drop them because they've had so many claims that their claim history, their loss run shows all these claims. Even if you haven't, they'll be like, I didn't have any claims. Well, yeah, not according to how you calculate it, but the insurance company counted those calls as claims.
So Mike, let me ask you, because not everyone here owns commercial property, because a lot of people here have 2 to 4 families, which is not considered commercial. You know, some of them, again, are just residential or in a residential space. So how does that apply to them as opposed to the commercial?
Well, oftentimes, again, it all, many of the policies, even though it is owner occupied, are commercial policies. So again, you have to see I'd have to see the policy. Um, but many of those policies are commercial policies. So yeah, it would impact them potentially, depending on the policy form that they have. I don't want to make too broad a statement because again, every situation's a little different. But oftentimes, person has an LLC, they buy the property, they live in a unit. It's oftentimes a commercial policy form because that's what I deal with, policies and the design of the policy as it relates to the property and how it's managed in case you have an issue. So it could affect that person who is potentially, if they are, living in the property.
Thank you, Michael. Um, so quick question. I mean, I pretty much ran through my questions. I know that there's some that I just wanted to do a quick recap on, for some that just came in. And the one thing I wanted you to answer for me is pretty much everything you told me or told us today. Is that good for outside of New York, outside of New Jersey? Because we have some people here from Missouri. We have, people from other parts of the country that's on right now. Does most of the information you gave us, does that apply?
Yes, yes. So I'm licensed in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Maryland, but I can assist in 47 states, including New York, Missouri, Texas. I've done some stuff, Virginia, Georgia. The places I don't deal with are Florida, Mississippi. The southern states are kind of weird. They don't. A couple of states down there don't even allow public adjusters to assist. But most states, 47 states, I can assist in. Obviously, take it case by case, but overwhelmingly we can. And most of the things that I said apply to those policies. Realizing that regionally, insurance companies design policies to deal with regional issues. So I have a rep that's in California right now. So the policies that they deal with are connected to things like earth movement and the fires that they got going on, and they have limitations on smoke damage. So it's different. There's some of the basic elements still exist for the dwelling, for the other structures, for those other areas that I described, but there's nuances based on regional issues. You're not going to get, issues that are um, snow related really going to be in the South so much, but you'll get a lot of water related issues in the policies that you might not see up north. One other thing I want to make you guys aware of, that the insurance companies are making modifications that are important to you. So we talked a bit about these heavy storms we've seen all over the country, North Carolina, Jersey, other places. And so what in response, the insurance companies they're risk managers. So when you get an insurance policy, you're transferring risk from yourself to the insurance company. That's the overall purpose of insurance. So what they're doing now is that they're carving out storm-related deductibles. So let's say, for argument's sake, when you set up your policy, you said, I want my deductible to be $1,000. Well, it's $1,000 for almost everything. If there's a fire, if there's smoke damage, if there's a pipe break, probably going to be that $1,000. But if there's a hurricane or a tropical storm, depending on what part of the country you're in, instead of it being the $1,000, and it'll be right in your policy, by the way, it can be, I've seen it be in New Jersey at least for sure, and then also in Maryland, between 2 and 5% of your part A, if it's a hurricane or tropical storm, before they will pay $1 towards your claim. So let's use the $500,000 home again. Instead of it being $1,000 deductible, if it's a hurricane, instead of it, you'll be paying $10,000 to $25,000 out of pocket prior to the insurance company paying $1. And that's a very common thing I'm seeing in different policies right now.
It's a serious, it's a lot of things that we don't know. So I hear that some policies are written that if you are outside of your home and hopefully not for anybody, you get robbed, some personal items, does that stuff go under your homeowners policy as well?
Your homeowner's policy does travel. So it depends on what the situation is, but your homeowner's, so if you know, theft is a peril. Vandalism is a peril. So somebody, you know, you have a rental property and somebody vandalizes it, or somebody steals something, and you can prove it. Police, you know, sometimes it's required police reports and other things. That does travel.
This is why we need to speak to you, huh?
There's many reasons to speak to me, because I'm a nice guy and I talk real, you know, I talk the talk and I know what I'm talking about, and I'm qualified to help. I'm losing you, Buke. You're muted again, bro.
No, I'm sorry. I was talking to Katisha, but I was listening to you as well.
Oh, okay. My bad.
She didn't understand when I was saying get robbed. If you were outside, if you were outside in the street and it happened, that goes under the peril.
It travels. Yeah. Theft is
it travels.
Under most HO3 policies, theft is a peril. Yes.
I just wanted to say that I'm still surprised that calling to get advice or get information from the insurance company counts as an event. Because I mean, I know I would, but I know that most people call and say, let me just see what they're going to say, but not file an official claim. But either way, just getting the information is held against you. I think that's very important to know because I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'll give you a perfect example. I had this summer, you know, we had the flash floods in New Jersey. So another church, uh, I was in one part of the neighborhood. While I was having a conversation in one commercial property, some of the people who worked there were like, we need to talk to you because our church got affected by this flash flood as well. So I'm talking to them and I'm like, okay, no problem. So they're like, yeah, you know, I tried to call the insurance company. They told me that, you know, it wasn't covered. So yeah, we didn't file a claim. I said, no, when you called and said something, you filed a claim. Oh, no, he didn't. Okay, what I want you to do is look in your email and ask them for the claim number or ask them, was there a claim filed and what that date was? There was a claim. And it's because I asked that question because, again, I can take that claim, reopen it because they didn't get any money doing it on their own. So I took that claim, reopened it because I didn't want to initiate a new claim number and add to their claim history. I reopened it and we were able to get them about $15,000 on a claim that they didn't think they would get paid on.
So if you call, you don't say this happened. Can you just ask, hey, I'm sorry, y'all, if I say for shits and giggles, if something happened in my house today in this manner, that goes down as a claim as well.
I can't say, again, every situation is a little different, but I'm saying assume when you call the insurance, because again, they're not here to tell you how this works. Assume when you call the insurance company, they are logging it as a claim. Think about it like this, Boo. Generally speaking, when there's smoke, there's fire. Right? There's smoke, there's fire, or there's something going on. So in the insurance company's mind, I would imagine they're saying, if this person is poking around asking these questions, there's probably something going on. So we're just going to log that as something going on. That's probably the logic. I would say that's probably a fair way to think about the logic that the insurance company takes these inquiries, smoke and fire type of thing.
So then it's safe to say, well, what's going through my mind right now is because I have never used a public insurance adjuster. Up until meeting you, I had no idea that there was anybody that advocated for us. All right. So at this point in time, I see that it's more beneficial to actually speak to a public insurance adjuster first, because I probably will get back more money. That your fee would be tied into there, more money than I would have gotten and be able to take care of things correctly in my home. Is that correct?
That's absolutely correct. But before, again, I want to emphasize this, before you have an issue, this is when you want to have me come by and do a free policy review and property inspection because A, it's not costing you anything. B, it's not initiating a claim. So you want to make sure your policy's right. Right? I've gone to some homes and people thought they had decent coverage, and I looked at the policy and they had nothing in the policy. So we didn't file a claim, but now they were educated, and then we could be proactive to say, listen, your risk is kind of high here because you don't have the proper policy. And these are some things that you want to call your agent, because I'm not calling or changing anything, but I'm going to give you some recommendations. You want to talk to your agent and ask them to do this, this, and this is how. And I'm happy to be on the phone. I try to be very accessible. You know, if somebody just wants me to like kind of hold their hand while they're talking to the agent, just to make sure they're getting the right types of like information. Once I've seen your home, I have like this great memory. I'll remember what I saw, and I'll be like, "Yo, you want to mention this, and you want to mention that." And if I have the policy, I can say, "Yeah, this thing." And me and the insurance agent are going to talk. We're talking shop now. He's like, "Oh, okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I keep coming up with important things. I need one other important thing. I'm sorry if I'm running over time." So if you have kind of going into people who actually manage their home properly and do upgrades. I'm looking at this question from Cynthia here. Just to clarify, it would be best to call public insurance to ask questions about policy. Yes, I would say that that would probably be your best way to go because it's no risk, Cynthia, for me to evaluate the proper policy with you. So uh, let's say you have upgrades to your house or property. You get new kitchen, you get a new bathroom, you're doing upgrades, you new roof, whatever. And it raises to the property value of more than 5%. There's a particular endorsement called extended replacement costs. And I can go down the whole rabbit hell with this. But the basics of it, again, I'm gonna use the $500,000 number again. Your $500,000 property, you have this extended replacement cost endorsement. It provides you, let's say, God forbid, the home burns down and the estimate to rebuild is now 600,000, not 500,000, because materials and everything else have increased. The extended replacement cost endorsement can give you up to 25% more than the $500,000 in the event that the estimate exceeds your dwelling or your Part A. So you'd have 625,000 available instead of 500,000 if you have that endorsement. Now, here's the caveat. Let's say you got a new bathroom, new kitchen, new floors, you did some upgrades and it upgraded the property more than 5% in value of the property. Well, again, remember from the beginning, we talked about the homeowner has responsibilities, the insurance company has responsibilities. One of the responsibilities of the insured, the homeowner, the property owner, is to communicate these upgrades or changes to the property to the insurance company. Because in the event you have this extended replacement cost and it has increased the value by that amount, and you did not tell them, you will forfeit that 25%. It's important that you're in communication with your agent when you're making modifications to your home. Is the up, the summary of what I'm trying to say.
Man, it's just a lot. Taking in a lot, Mike. A
I
lot.
told you, Boog, I said I could do this. He's like,
Yeah.
man, he's like, we're gonna talk about it. I was like, bro,
Listen, I'm here for it.
I'm
I'm
here
here
for it
for it, and
too.
there's a few other people that are here for it because we need this knowledge.
Yes, sir.
The problem is years ago we didn't have knowledge. We didn't have this social media. We didn't have this free reign of communication, this easy way to get the knowledge. So for those who are not seeking the knowledge and not coming for the knowledge, then they're going to be left behind. But right now we're here, you're here, and you're definitely giving us a lot of information. I've taken down a lot. I know Katisha is taking down a lot. I see that there's other people in here that I know that are taking down a lot and is beneficial. So what I want to ask you again, we wanted to do a little recap.
Mhm.
But before I do that, let me ask: is there anybody that has a question? As they always say, no question is
No bad question.
is a bad question. Thank you, because I
I'm
was going to
trying
say
to,
something.
I'm trying to keep PG-13, Boop.
All right. Is there anybody? If you have a question, you can unmute and ask Mike why he's
Kim
Kim.
has a
Kim
question.
has her hand up. Come on, Kim,
Hand up.
unmute.
Apologize, I'm not on camera, guys, not camera ready, but thank you so much for your information. So here's my question.
Sure.
Like, if we wanted to have conversations with you to review just policies and stuff like that, will you share? I saw you shared your contact information. Is that the best way to come forth and have a private conversation with you?
Absolutely. You can always call me. I'm happy, assuming that the distance isn't too crazy, I'm happy to come out because
It's
again,
crazy. I'm the Missouri.
oh, you're in Missouri. Yeah, that's a little bit of a drive. I'm happy, but I would do a virtual, I would do a
Yeah,
walkthrough with you for sure. Absolutely. Happy to do it.
awesome. Thank you so much.
My
Great
pleasure.
information, by the way. Appreciate it.
No, I hope it's been useful and make sure you take down my I think my Blink card and my website's on there. It has my cell phone. This is my cell phone number, the 908 number that you see, 908
I
922.
pulled it down and saved it. Got you, including your picture. Thank you so
My
much.
picture. I apologize for the pictures. All God gave me to work with.
All right. And for anybody else that needs it, if you don't have it for whatever reason, I have it. Katisha has it. And we definitely will get you in touch with Mike. But please, again, don't be shy if there's any kind of questions, because right now I know, and I'm not putting anybody on the spot, but we have new homeowners here. We have some homeowners that they're not homeowners yet, but they're home buyers. They're actually searching. We definitely have some homeowners that have been in their homes for a while and had some perils that was costly to them. If anybody wants to speak, ask. Hopefully, you could get some kind of answer or some kind of guidance, and then pick up with Mike afterward, to really get clarity on your policies. Because I, for one, am not in insurance. I'm not that abreast in insurance. I've been having homeowners insurance 24 years. I've had renters insurance even longer than that. But I can't honestly say to y'all that I know everything that Mike has just put on the table today. I probably didn't know much of anything that Mike put on the table today, and probably cost myself a lot of money and lost a lot of money. There's some things that went wrong in the dwellings that I did not call. I took care of it myself. And now I'm finding out that I could have got money, but I was afraid that I would get either dropped or my premium would go higher. So again, I prompt you to ask any questions that you have now.
And
I have a question.
sure.
So, and on the business side, I'm a broker, so we deal with people who are actively looking for homes, and part of that process is securing homeowners insurance. So, and of course, initially people are looking for, the policy that's going to cost the lowest on the onset. Um, so would you recommend that maybe immediately when they close to bring, an adjuster in to be able to assess the property to make adjustments to their homeowner's insurance as appropriate? Because you can't really do it when you're buying a policy initially because you don't own it yet. So I'm assuming it'll take place once they close to have that assessment done just to make sure that they're on the right track of what they have.
Well, again, first of all, thank you for your question. First of all, it is so important. This is very personal. I mean, this is why I basically ran Buke down at the mixer at the homeowners, the mixer for NARAB. I ran him down. I was like, listen, you need to talk to me. You need to talk to me. And respectfully, Buke was like, he's excellent at making sure he's vetting it. And he's asking me a lot of questions. We had a separate phone call because it's so, I'm like, listen, I'm talking about our community. I'm talking about the community that look like me. I see what happens when we don't have money in the homes. And what's literally happening when there's problems with the home, first of all, a lot of us are embarrassed, a lot of us are afraid, and we're spending money. First of all, you're paying your money for your premium. then you have an issue. You're paying out of pocket, whether it's cash out of pocket or credit cards or loans that you have to pay. And this is the policy designed to pay for this. And 90%, and most of the time, people just because they're scared of the insurance company. And literally, my average claim can be somewhere 10, 15, $20,000, and it's not taxable. It's sometimes you don't even have to use it for the for the damage. People take the money depending on the situation. And I ain't telling people how to do whatever they do, but they use the money how they need to use it. And that could be, they got emergencies that going on. They got a lot of things going on in their family and homes that this can be helpful. So I take this very personally and very seriously because I'm dealing with our community. So, like I was telling Buke when we were at the mixer, I was like, I'm running people down. And you saw me at the luncheon. I'm here, I'm there. I'm like, you need to talk to me because I'm generally in all of these real estate groups. I am the only public adjuster almost always in the room. And in our rooms, I'm always the only public adjuster in the room. So I'm like, I don't care if there's a claim. I promise you, I don't care. When I tell you I have no problems getting business, I have no problems getting business. What's more important to me is when I see you and whatever we talk about and however you have the information, because I don't want you to feel like you're being in a negative position because you don't know and you don't know who to call or where to get some answers or some resources. So I take my position in this very, very seriously. And I beg you, just ask the question, use it. I try to make it as comfortable as possible to get the information.
I have another question very quickly. So you were talking about, I think you were calling them extenders. Can you all hear me okay?
It's called
Extenders.
extended replacement cost. Extended replacement cost.
Okay. But when you were talking about additional property like coats and art and all of that, is that the same as a schedule, like putting it on the schedule?
That's a schedule. Those are called scheduled items. Yes.
Okay. So how often should you review your policy just as a general practice, right?
I would say once a year. Because
Really? Okay.
think about it. Let's talk about it, right? So
Mm-hmm.
there's the policy and then there's the home.
Mm-hmm.
How many storms have we had this year?
A lot.
So now you have this policy and we're going into the spring again, right? The spring comes every year. You have a windstorm, you have rainstorms. How often are you getting on your roof?
Me? Never.
Right. So last year you didn't have any water come from your house. This year, a shingle blew off that you didn't see or creased or the siding got loose because it was a heavy windstorm or a branch hit the roof. You don't know until there's an issue. So if your policy and then the insurance company every year, you can change your policy, but the insurance company can also change the policy year by year as well. Those endorsements can go either way. So if you don't know the adjustments that have been made in your policy and you have not had someone do an evaluation of the home, now you're at a disadvantage when that happens or when something comes about. Did that answer your question, Kim?
Yes. And I'm just in awe about this. I'm like, wow. Thank you for the information.
It's a privilege. It is a privilege to be able to offer a service to the community, to add value to the community. I take this as a privilege. So thank you for allowing me to participate and answer any of your questions. I take that very seriously. Thank you.
So, brother Michael, this is Sean, the other participant, the better half of no, the worse half of Kimberly, in Missouri. My question, because you alluded to it a second ago, most people would pay out of pocket and not file the claim. Is it a myth, or is it true that the more claims you have, your rates go up? I think that's what we live in fear of. Is that rate
Right,
going
right.
up?
I guess you got in a little late, Sean, because I
Yeah,
went.
I did. I'm sorry.
I would know it's okay because
Yeah.
I made a very specific point to go through that process, but I'm happy to do it for you again. So there is a difference between cancellation and non-renewal. A difference between cancellation and non-renewals. And I'm going to do this again. I apologize for those who've heard it already. So cancellation, let's think about it, Sean. You didn't pay your premium, they cancel you. Right? You engaged in some kind of fraudulent activity, they cancel you. Make
Okay.
sense?
Hmm.
That's one side of it. But then you have this thing called non-renewal. Non-renewal is a bit more nuanced. Let's talk about a lot of the storms that have been going on around the country where major areas have been affected by various things between, fires or storms and floods and all these different things, where those areas are paying out, the insurance companies paying out a lot of money to property owners. Well, those insurance companies can lobby the state departments of insurance and say, we, Progressive, we, USAA, we, Allstate, whoever, no longer want to insure this area because it's not profitable from a business standpoint. So
Hmm.
they can, assuming that the State Department of Insurance agrees, anyone who is a policyholder in that from that company on their renewal date can get a non-renewal notice about 60 days before that insurance company will not cover them. That doesn't mean they can't get insurance. It just means that insurance company does not have the appetite to insure that region. So that's one thing. The other, and when that happens, the homeowner conflates, I had an issue, I put in a claim, and I was dropped. But it wasn't just you. It was everyone from that particular company who was in that region was non-renewed, not dropped. But more frequently in our communities, it's a maintenance issue that creates a non-renewal scenario. Again, if you have, let's say you have a pipe break in your home, and let's say you bought your home in 2020, home was in decent condition, but over the 6 year period, the house has not been managed and maintained. Trees are overgrown, steps are falling apart, siding's coming off, holes in the roof, holes in the walls, whatever. But you called in for a pipe break. Now, the insurance companies never entered the home. So they hadn't seen any of those things that have happened over the 6 years, the mismanagement. But they're there for the pipe break. But they see those other areas that are a hazard to the home. They have to report that back to the insurance company saying these items are risky, and they will write a letter to the policyholder saying we saw these areas that are a hazard. We need you to take care of them by a certain date. If you don't take care of them, we will non-renew you. So what happens is people put in a claim, they get that non-renewal situation, and they conflate. I put in for this pipe break and they drop me, but they don't talk about their house wasn't in the best condition, and they were informed that their house wasn't in the best condition. And it was unrelated to the issue that they came out with, but it's something that the insurance company saw as a risk that they weren't willing to take on without you addressing it. So it's a maintenance issue oftentimes in our community that causes that.
Okay. So St. Louis was ravaged last spring by a major tornado. Um, and a lot of those homeowners didn't have insurance, underinsured, didn't know what to do, and still struggling with getting help. You're the type of person that the city needed advocating for those individuals. And I'm an agent here in St. Louis, so maybe I need to do a Zoom call with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Happy to do it. Happy to do
Okay.
it.
All right. Thank you.
And because I know you joined late and I want to make sure you have this information. And I'm not familiar with Missouri, but I can get, we'll make sure that that's covered properly. In most states, from the time of an event, you have in a residential scenario, you have a year from that time, if someone was paid or underpaid, to reopen that claim to see if there's additional money we can pursue. Or if it's a commercial situation, we have generally have in many states, and I have to speak about Missouri specifically because I don't know, have 2 years from the time of the event. So whatever happened, if it was last year, the commercial properties, it's a possibility that we still may be able to assist.
Okay. All right. We'll be in touch.
Please, please
No.
feel free to use me.
Let me
Please
ask
feel.
Daryl. Daryl, are you on? I mean, I see you
Yes,
there.
yes, sir. I
Okay.
am. I'm here.
Daryl, are you in Missouri also?
No, I'm in Tennessee.
Oh, you're in Tennessee.
Can
Okay.
help there
Mhm.
All
too.
right.
Can
Because
help
I was
there.
gonna say maybe y'all can get together with Sean and maybe Michael and then, really pull together.
Yeah, Tennessee, Mississippi, Arkansas.
Let me tell
Okay.
you, Mississippi's weird. Mississippi's strange. Arkansas, I got to look at Arkansas. Those two states are they're a little funny. They don't like having professional advocates for their homeowner stuff. But
Correct. They don't like having advocacy for anything.
yeah, let me look at my map because let me see.
Yeah, but
Tennessee, we're
just
good.
because they don't like it doesn't mean we can't get on a Zoom or get our people on a Zoom and get them the information that they need to go and arm themselves.
Fully agree.
I'd have to get back to you about Arkansas. I can help in Tennessee. Arkansas, I'd have to get back to you because I'm not even sure what that even looks like. Certain states are real strange. Delaware is really strange. Um, there's a couple DC's a little strange, so we got to go state by state to determine how if in Florida I can't even talk to you. Florida, I can't even talk to you because they are so if you're not a licensed public adjuster in Florida, they won't I can get in a lot of trouble just for even having a conversation, even though the policy forms are very similar. Because I used to live in Florida. I lived in Florida for a little bit. So I'm familiar with how that works as well.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. I agree. But
Okay.
happy to see what I can do to help.
Sure thing.
All right. So Mike, um, three questions actually.
Sure.
And they're pretty much going into a recap. Or you got a question as well? Yeah, because it's getting late. I don't know who has to get off and who doesn't. For
I'm
me,
here
I'm
for
one
it.
of those
I'm here
talkers.
for it.
Mike, I know you're a
I'm here
talker.
for it.
We could sit on here for all day. But for homeowners and home buyers, what is the one thing you can tell them that is very detrimental for them to know and why your service is important to them?
All right. So home buyers, uh, I would say you just want to know I exist. You want, I'm gonna say this from a perspective of a realtor. You want to have me as part of your core team to be that service provider to keep, during the homeowner life cycle. Like I said, every year there's things that happen and policies are changing and homes go through stuff. Homes they have like a life, they have their own energy. So storms are happening, things are happening to the home, policies are changing. And by having someone who can come in and just touch the home, almost like an annual checkup for your house, it provides now you're extending your connection instead of just doing holiday cards and birthday cards. You're giving some people some real tools to make sure that they are in a position to have a strong life cycle for their home before the policies or before there's an issue. So from a buying perspective, homeowners that are there, you want me to just do a checkup just like you would go to a brand new doctor and have a checkup.
Mike, I'm going to ask you the same thing for our real estate professionals. How does your service benefit them?
Again, it's so one of the things real estate professionals, you're for the most part, it's a transactional thing for the most part, but you do want referrals. You want the people who are working with you to see your value, both in the transaction, but in the life cycle of their homeowner journey. So a lot of times the realtors are doing things to stay connected, inviting them out and who do you know somebody and how does that, birthday cards, Christmas cards, and little trinkets to make sure that they still remember you when they're making choices to make some changes and moving and different things like that. Well, having someone like me on your team and embedding me in the home buying journey strengthens your credibility like we're doing right now, Book. I'm doing that for you right now. Strengthens your credibility as a solid real estate partner, because for a lot of folks, they're afraid of the possibilities to get in a home because they feel like they don't know what to do. They're going to get this house. And respectfully, I'm talking about a lot of our women who are single. There's a lot of apprehension to get in a home because they're afraid that they're going to get in this home, they can't maintain it, they don't know what to do, and they don't know who to talk to. They're going to call you, they're going to call somebody else that they might know, but are they getting good information? Are they getting qualified information? Are they talking to their cousin, uncle, brother who halfway heard something? It might be somewhat right, and then it gets to be messy, and now we really don't want to deal with it. So, I want to be able to partner with the realtor to strengthen the home buying life cycle. And obviously, I'm going to see and hear things that will be the canary in the mine. Oh, this house is getting a little bit, over their head, and they're thinking about selling. Because like I'm talking to you, I talk to people like I'm not a corporate type of guy. I'm gonna talk to you like I'm gonna talk to you to make sure we're really talking to each other. If you have an issue and it's just your client and they're telling me some things, it may be a matter of, Book, you need to talk to them. They might need a 203K. Book, they're thinking about, buying an investment property. I'm going to direct them back to you and say, listen, Book can probably handle that. He got some people, but it's relationships, and it's quality relationships. Like, that's why you interviewed me. That's why you're not letting everybody just talk to your people, because you respect the partnerships and the relationships to make sure people are getting solid information. No different.
I'm going to tag on to that because for the real estate professionals, what I find value in any information that I can give to my clients. I have this saying that I don't even tell my clients, but now some of my clients are on here, and they're not just clients anymore. Now they're friends and family to me. But the transaction, my relationship with my clients transcends way past the transaction. Just because we closed, it's over. Yeah, you're in your home. I'm at my home. I might not see you for some months or whatever, but you'll hear from me here and there. And I always want to bring great information back to my clients, because if it's something I'm just finding out, you might not know it either. So I'm going to bring it to my clients. And I think, your clients, your friends, your family, they all will appreciate when you can bring stuff like that to them. And this is just a word to, the real estate professionals, why I asked, so many to be on here, as well as, some clients, some past clients, some future clients, or clients that are actually, looking to buy right now.
I see your wife. Your wife looked like she has a question. She got her
Oh,
mind
no.
going. You sure?
Yes,
It's
I'm
okay.
good.
It's all right.
No, my wife is more worried.
There's a question.
We worry about people here. So she was worried about that we went over time. But I was saying to her is, if they are still on this Zoom, they actually want to be here. And I would hope y'all all agree, because if you're still here, that means you're getting good information. Michael was definitely giving you some good tidbits, and we're gonna, listen. I don't mind. I'm here. I'm
here
here for it.
too.
So
I'm here for it too.
if you're here for it, I'm here for it.
There's a question in the chat.
Okay. Help me if you don't mind. Help me out.
Hold on, let me open it back up. The
Okay.
question is, question for clarity. Besides reviewing the insurance, does the public adjuster also do a thorough inspection like a home inspector would? For example, checking the roof, etc.
No, I'm not getting on by. Listen, they don't pay me to get on roofs. Now, if there's a roof issue, I do have partnerships and Book. There's some stuff I want to talk to you offline that I really think you're gonna be excited about. That I have some relationships that are gonna help even strengthen even further. But I do have partnerships because of the space that I occupy, that I can make some qualified introductions, and I'm always looking to partner with qualified people to make sure that we're providing excellent service and value. But what I do is I walk the property top to bottom. I have some basic tools, um, but I'm looking primarily as it relates to the coverage you have and the general overarching condition of the home relative to the policy that you have. So it's not, it wouldn't raise to the level of a home inspection, but it goes in that direction.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Sure.
So the homeowners, I'm a first-time home buyer in the home shopping stage.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So the homeowner's insurance would cover the perimeter of the property, right?
Well,
As
again,
well as the home?
it depends. Again, every policy is a little different, but primarily when you're talking about a standard policy, which is what we call the HO3 policy,
Mhm.
it typically deals with the dwelling, the main structure, the bones of the home, the
Mhm.
other structures, which is detached garages or sheds,
Okay.
personal property, and things like liability for, if someone sues you or if you are displaced from your home due to a covered event. And then when you say perimeter of the home, I'm not quite sure what you mean by that.
So it would be the part of the home that the city says you're responsible for maintaining, for example, whether it
Now,
be the sidewalk in front of the home, X number of feet to the curb, perhaps, a certain portion of the driveway or behind the back of the house to I guess whatever your deed has your property line as, that's that perimeter.
uh, not typically. There may
Oh,
be situations relative to some of the endorsements. Again, if you're talking about if they're drilling into the street for sewer lines or water lines and they hit that, that could
mhm,
potentially fall into that area. But again, I don't want to, generally speaking, we're talking about the physical dwellings itself and the
mhm.
elements inside those dwellings.
Oh,
The pipe,
inside. Okay.
the pipes and the mechanicals and things of that nature.
Mhm. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
No problem. And Cynthia, if you are, if you do want, I will be happy to take a look specifically at your policy, walk you through what I see. I'm not sure where you're located, but if it's a visit, happy to do that for you as well. Take a detailed look.
Thank you.
Okay, Mike. So again, I wanted to do a recap, and just ask because we Katisha asked you early on, again, just to recap, at what point should someone be contacting you, a homeowner, um, property owner,
I would say,
investor?
I would say sooner than later, right? I would look at me in a sense like a new primary care physician, right? You probably never dealt with a public adjuster before. You've never had someone do this exercise for you. So I'm the first person, this is the first time we ever did it. So if you've ever never had it, just have me out. I'll take a look. Get you the worst case scenario, hopefully you've gotten some quality information about your policy and, had a free look around and made sure that everything was okay. There may be nothing, or there may be some areas of your policy now that you need to, make some modifications. Um, new homeowner investor, have me out. It's not going to hurt. And then from there, I would say once a year, just to revisit the policy, look at once you get your renewal on your policy, have me take a look and take a quick look at the conditions since that time, because again, storms and events have happened. You're not, people are walking past stuff all day long because they're dealing with life, their kids and family, and they got a stain in the corner of the roof or the corner of the wall that they've just been walking by for a little bit and they didn't even realize it's there, because they got other stuff that's like they're focusing on. So having a fresh set of eyes in the room once a year, in the home once a year, it's never a bad idea.
I wanted to take a moment to thank Michael for the information. And I also wanted, to kind of moving forward, I wanted to encourage anybody who participated in this conversation, who thinks there's other people who they know who may benefit from this type of information. Please follow and share the information. We're going to be doing this and other types of events frequently because you just don't know what you don't know. And a lot of times, you find out what you can get, what you could have, been able to benefit from when it's a little bit too late. So our efforts are always to be proactive, to bring you what it is that we need, that we feel that you need, and kind of keep that type of momentum going. So please, follow for this event, other events, and invite people who you know who are in the same space with you to join you as well.
Damn, that's the way to wrap it up, baby.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
And this is pretty much, our events. We definitely try to bring empowering information to everyone. We try to keep it light, in a light air. We like to have fun with it as much as we can, but we definitely want to, be able to get the information out to you as well. We like it that way.
Lots of compliments in the chat, Michael. Lots of kudos, lots of thank yous.
It's literally a privilege.
Thank you, brother. I'm going to be going over my homeowners policy and questioning a lot of things that I didn't know I should have questioned.
Give me a call.
You know what I mean?
Give me a call if you want me to do it with you. Take a look. I'm happy to do it.
Don't call a company. Don't ask them.
No, I'm not. I just heard that.
Give me a call, Chris, and I'm happy to walk you through, see what I see, and if you want me to come through and take a walk through, I'm happy to do that as well.
Well, listen, if you didn't learn anything today, we damn sure learned. Do not call your insurance company to ask a question.
Right.
I'm just trying to help.
That's almost like credit. That's a hard inquiry.
That's a hard inquiry. That's a good way to put it. I'm gonna use that. I'm stealing that.
All right. So again, last chance to dance. Anybody have that last minute question? All right. So everyone, thank you. Well, ask the question. Let's go, question queen.
Come on with it. We here?
No, I'm just saying, don't be calling the agency because I'd be the one calling, asking all them questions.
Oh yeah.
It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. It's in the real right. If this universe was set up to do the right thing for people who doing the right thing, we wouldn't have to have that concern that the people that are supposed to be paying are going to treat us the way we need to be treated. Unfortunately, the rules are not always written, and they're not going to tell you these things a lot of times. So we just want to make sure we're empowering each other.
Okay, so again, we're gonna third time wrap it up.
We need to say man come out. We need to say man come out.
Listen, I want to know how many people are gonna jump off their Zoom and go pull up their insurance policy.
They should. And then they should call me and say, look, I don't understand this. Let's do a Zoom. Let's do a call. Let's come through. We'll see what's up. Make sure you're good. That's important. It's important.